It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the San Diego Padres. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Thursday night to you, wherever you may be. Final game of the three-game series, the so-called rubber game, each team having one of the previous two. By the way, when San Diego and the Dodgers get together in 12 games this year, Dodgers have won 8 of the 12, but total 24 errors. So sit loose and wait, because this should be another scramble. Tonight, for the Padres, the big man, 6'6", out of Berkeley, California, and his name is Tyson Ross. He went to the University of California and a misleading record of 11-11. He's a better pitcher. He is 0-3 against the Dodgers, earned run average 2.8. He is 0-4 in his career against the Dodgers, earned run average 2.9. For the Dodgers, they will counter with Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw with a record of 14-3. When he pitches, the Dodgers usually win. They are 16-4. Of the 12 meetings, the Dodgers having won 8 of the 12. They will welcome the Mets starting tomorrow night, but they have 6 more games left with the pesky Padres, 3 here in September and next weekend in San Diego. So those are the pregame notes. Sit back, relax. Up comes the game and a whole lot more right after this. Wherever you may be, it's the Dodgers and the Padres going round and round one more time. This will be the 13th meeting of the year between the two clubs. The Dodgers have an edge. They've won 8 of the 12. It has been a rough series with 24 errors committed, but tonight you figure it'll settle down. Two very good pitchers on the mound. It'll be Clayton Kershaw going up against Tyson Ross. An update on the Giants. Remember, the other night they were in the 5th inning with the Cubs leading 2-0. They protested. The protest was upheld, so they had to finish that game early tonight, and the Cubs held on to win it 2-1. Giants actually had 2 men on base in the 9th inning and came up empty. The second game just really underway, bottom of the 3rd inning, and the Cubs have a slight edge in that one. So we will see. If you look at the standings for the moment anyway, the Giants trailing the Dodgers by 3.5 games. Meanwhile, our ball game about ready to get underway. Bud Black's club, outside of the Washington Nationals, the Bud Black's Padres are the best playing team in the National League. Washington is 21-11, and Bud's club 18-12 since the break. Yangervis Solarte will open up at third base. Abraham Almonte in left field. Jed Jerko at second base. And Tommy Medica at first. Rene Rivera will be behind the plate. Reimer Liriano in right field. Cameron Maybin, who had been suspended for 25 games, makes his first start tonight. Alexi Amarista wearing out the Dodgers in 12 games. The little shortstop hitting .333, and then it would be Tyson Ross. On the mound for the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw, 14-3. When he pitches, the Dodgers usually win. They are 16-4 in the games in which he's been involved in. And he's going to work now against Solarte, who fouls the first pitch off. One of the interesting things, as Solarte laughs, the foul ball came up and hit him right on top of the helmet. So for Yangervis, which is his first name, a reason to grin for the moment. And he'll hear about it. Foul ball came right up, and then as he stepped across, it hit the bill of the helmet and then landed right on top of the coconut. He hits a ground ball to short. Waiting for it is Rojas. He has the arm to do that, and we have one away. Since we've seen a ground ball, we'll set the Dodgers defensively. Gonzalez and Gordon, Rojas and Turner, Crawford, Puig, and Kemp in the outfield. A.J. Ellis behind the plate, handling Clayton. And the batter now, Abraham Almonte. 1 out, first inning. Clayton Kershaw gives the Dodgers a big boost for a lot of reasons. He's gone 49 straight starts without losing consecutively. That's the longest active streak in the major leagues. So Clayton ready, and the pitch to Almonte a little high. Ball one end off. Beautiful evening, 75 degrees here at Dodger Stadium at the start of the game. Kershaw into the windup. Back he comes 1-0. Fastball in the dirt. And the count 2 balls and no strikes. Bright blue canopy with some little lambs running across overhead. The mountains off in the distance. It is a great night. Always a great sight here at Dodger Stadium, especially when the weather's like this. 2-0 pitch, and that's high. Ball 3. 3-0 the count. So Kershaw with Jed Jerko on deck. Kershaw faced the Padres once this year. Allowed 3 hits in 9 innings. Gets a strike, and the count 3-1. In that game, he struck out 11 and only 1 walk. But it was a tough game. He won 2-1. 3-1 pitch on the way, and that's taken for a strike. And the count 3-2 to Abraham Almonte. Almonte, a new face with the Padres, joined them the end of July from the Seattle Mariners. And the 3-2 pitch on the way. Fastball popped to short. Going out to get it is Rojas, still backpedaling, and makes the catch for the out. So 2 down in the first inning, and Jed Jerko coming up, the proud possessor of a home run against Kershaw. the only home run hit in the Padres lineup. The other home run that had been hit against Kershaw, that would be Chase Headley, who was traded to the Yankees. So Clayton ready, 2 out first inning, left-hander ready and deals, and it's foul back, and the count 0-1. Jerko on the DL. He had plantar fasciitis, in other words, a bad foot, but he's come back. He is a solid player. He has 9 home runs. He had 23 last year, 44 runs batted in. Kershaw ready to come back 0-1. Jerko takes the slow curveball low. That came up there at 74. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. If you want to put a label on the plate umpire, I guess you would call him a pitcher's umpire, Adrian Johnson. Kershaw's next pitch is grounded foul outside of third. The reason we refer to Adrian as a pitcher's umpire, he was the home plate umpire for the no-hitter thrown by Arizona's Edwin Jackson at Tampa Bay. That was 4 years ago. And he was also the plate umpire when Homer Bailey turned in his second no-hitter July 2nd last year. Kershaw ready, and the 1-2 pitch on the way. Breaking ball off the plate. That's a pitch that gets him a lot of strikeouts, but he's just missing the outside corner. And the count 2-2. Big curveball just off the plate. Jerko came off the DL the end of July. 2-2 pitch, and that's low, ball 3. 3-2. Kershaw has to be careful. Jerko, a lot of power, 23 home runs last year, out of West Virginia, built like a linebacker, and he was at West Virginia when he played for the Mountaineers. 3-2 pitch coming up. Kershaw's pitch swung on and missed. That'll be the slider, and down goes Jerko. So the Padres go in order, 1-2-3. Kershaw picks up a strikeout, and at the end of half an inning, San Diego nothing, and the Dodgers coming up. Kershaw. Now we'll take a look at Don Mattingly's lineup going up against Tyson Ross. D. Gordon starts it off, followed by Yasiel Puig, and then Adrian Gonzalez. Matt Kemp in right field hits cleanup. Carl Crawford hitting 6 for 10 against Tyson Ross. He's in left field. Justin Turner at third. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Miguel Rojas is the shortstop. Clayton Kershaw the pitcher. Tyson Ross is 6'6", 230 pounds. Tyson will be 32 years old. Check me on that. He'll be 27. He's from Berkeley, went to the University of California, and he is a very underrated pitcher if you just look at his record, 11-11. But he is a very solid pitcher, and the Dodgers know it, even though they've defeated him 3 times this year. First pitch to D. Gordon is in for a strike. So Gordon trying to get something started, hitting .286, 2 home runs, 26 runs batted in. The strike one pitch on the way. That's in there. And the count 0-2. Tyson Ross is 11-11. However, with that comes an earned run average of 2.7. Strike two pitch on the way is in there. Strike three called. So Gordon muttering a little bit as he walks away from Adrian Johnson. And just like that, one out, bottom of the first inning, as Ross picks up the strikeout. The batter now will be Yasiel Puig. Tyson Ross 0-3 against the Dodgers this year, and his earned run average 2.8. 0-4 in his career against the Dodgers, an earned run average of 2.9. So he is a wonderful young pitcher. Yasiel Puig takes off the plate. 1 ball and no strikes. When you're facing Tyson Ross, certainly a pitch you're looking for is his slider. Puig fouls one away, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Those who keep tabs on pitchers, every pitch that they make, they say that Tyson Ross has thrown his slider over 1,070 times. That's 44% of the time, and the slider has been swung on and missed that time. The pitch inside to Puig as he staggers out of the way. So he throws the slider, 44% miss it. That would be the 4th best in the majors. Ross is vulnerable to the stolen base. The 2-1 pitch, Puig pulls it foul outside of third, and the count 2-2. So if Puig or the leadoff man Gordon, Crawford, those who run a lot, they'll no doubt try to run on Tyson Ross. The league now, they have stolen 27 of 33 against him. I guess when you're 6'6" and you go into your stretch and delivery, it takes a little bit longer, and the base runners have been taking advantage of him. 2-2 pitch on the way is a one-hopper. Nice play by Jerko at second base and throws him out. So Puig hits it hard but grounds out, and we have 2 down in the first inning. That'll give us a chance to set the Padres defensively. Medica and Jerko, Amarista and Solarte. The outfield, Almonte, Maben and Liriano, and Rene Rivera handling Ross. 2 down in the first inning. Adrian Gonzalez at 272, 17 home runs, 83 RBIs. 1-for-7 so far in the series. Tyson Ross fastball, a one-hopper right at Amarista, and Alexei throws to first, and that's that. So 2 balls well hit, but positioned perfectly, the defensive alignment, and the Dodgers go out in order. And at the end of an inning, no score. As far as complete games this year, and it seems to be a disappearing number from, let's say, 40 years ago, but Clayton Kershaw has a half a dozen complete games. Johnny Cueto and then Dallas Keuchel, they have 4, and then a string of players, including Madison Bumgarner, 3 complete games. So Clayton, with the most complete games since Ismael Valdez back in 1995, had a half a dozen. And his first pitch to Tommy Medica is high, ball 1, 1-0. By the way, the Washington Nationals walked off again this afternoon with a 1-0 victory over Arizona. So they're really hot. The 1-0 pitch is high. Not only was it the Nationals' 10th win in a row, the 5th walk-off they had in the last 6 games. And the last team to do that, the '86 Houston Astros. In fact, only 7 teams have done it since 1900. And the Giants will be visiting Washington on the weekend. Fly ball to left center. Crawford had a good jump and makes the catch for the out. And we have 1 down. Talking about the Giants, we told you they lost that first game. They completed the game and lost 2-1. In the second game, they're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Giants-Cubs tied up 3-3. Dodgers with a 3.5 game lead right now. You know, in talking about the Washington Nationals winning 1-0, it reminds me to remind you that is the 48th 1-0 game of the season. And the pitch to Rivera is low for ball 1. Former Rays left-hander David Price threw a complete game 1-hitter and lost. That's right, a 1-hitter and he lost against his old team. Rivera fouls it away. A triple in the first inning and the run scored, and that was it. So David Price, the second pitcher since 1969 to throw a complete game 1-hitter in his first appearance against his former team. You may remember Chris Carpenter of the Cardinals did it against Toronto. 1-1 pitch on the way. That's bounced in the dirt. 2 balls and 1 strike, the count. So some low scoring games, 48 1-0 games so far this year. If you look at the National League earned run leaders last month, Clayton Kershaw 1.07, Tyson Ross 1.1, and the pitch in the dirt. So it is reasonable to expect a very tight, well-pitched game tonight. Jacob deGrom, an earned run average of 1.3. He's with the Mets, and he's due to pitch here Saturday against Zach Greinke. 3-1 pitch on the way, and Rivera takes high, ball 4. So Kershaw walks a man, and Reimer Liriano will be coming up.
Right fielder, number 7, Reimer Liriano.
Liriano was called up from AAA El Paso. That was his first call up. While he was in El Paso, he was tearing it up, hitting better than .450. Checked in and hit his first major league home run against Colorado. So the right hand hitting Liriano checking in. Rivera at first, held on by Adrian Gonzalez. Kershaw out of a stretch, takes a look over, left-handed to the plate. High fastball, a check swing, and it will be ruled 1 ball and no strikes. Take another look as Liriano somehow or other held that bat back. Want to know the count. He's from Santo Domingo. Liriano an even 6, well-built 220. Takes a breaking ball strike, and they count 1 ball and 1 strike. Liriano with a big grin on his face. They say that he has a gregarious personality. Very friendly, smiling all the time. He thinks he got a bad call, and he still grinned as he backed away. 1-1 the count. Renny Rivera at first. 1 out, second inning, no score. The 1-1 pitch, broken bat, ground ball, the feed to second for 1, the return it for first, and the Dodgers get the double play. So Liriano breaks his bat, hits it to Rojas, and just like that, the inning is over. No runs, no hits, nobody left. At the end of an inning and a half, no score. Be one of the first 50,000 fans at Dodger Stadium Tuesday, September 2nd against the red-hot Washington Nationals, and you'll receive a Magic Johnson no-look pass bobblehead. Compliments of Coca-Cola. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/bobblehead. Kershaw got the job done with 11 pitches. We go to the bottom of the second inning, and Tyson Ross, fresh from a very good July, ready to pitch to Matt Kemp, who's hitting .276. Matt 15 home runs, 56 runs batted in. Ross in the month of July had an earned run average of 1.1. His big overhand breaking ball misses, 1 ball and no strikes. He also led the major leagues in July with 48 strikeouts. So forget the numbers attached to his name. He can pitch. He's high with the next one, 2-0. Buster Posey just hit a home run in the 5th inning, so the Giants regain the lead in Chicago, leading the Cubs 4-3. 2-0 pitch on the way is low and away on a check swing, ball 3, 3-0. You know, an interesting thing about the Giants and the Cubs in the 2 games. In the suspended game, the Cubs scored 2 runs in the 1st inning on an Anthony Rizzo home run with a man aboard. More to follow in a moment. The 3-0 pitch on the way, and that's high, ball 4. In the scheduled game, the first 3 inning home runs for the Cubs. There were 2 in that regularly scheduled game. So all 3 first inning home runs are the first 3 first inning home runs at Wrigley Field this year. Rather remarkable. So the Dodgers get Kemp a walk, and the batter Carl Crawford, 5 home runs, 29 RBIs, 3 for 4 in this series against the Padres. Ross out of a stretch. Tyson turns, throws to first. Kemp back on the bag. Matt has stolen 8, but he's been caught 5 times. Tyson Ross looking at Crawford. Crawford is 6 for 10 against him. Ross set at the belt, looks over at Kemp, short lead over there, and the pitch a strike. 0-1 the count. Tyson Ross plants that right foot on the rubber, looks in to get a sign. Crawford waiting with Turner hitting back of him. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Crawford rolls it to the right side. Jerko gets it to Amarista. They throw to first, however, not in time. So a slow hit ball, 4-6 force play, and the batter will be Justin Turner. Kemp did everything he could to break it up. Amarista had to leave his feet. Jerko fed it to him quickly enough, and Crawford quick down the line, safe at first. So now Justin Turner. Turner putting up big numbers, hitting .309, 3 home runs, 27 runs batted in. He is not the strongest of men, and of course Turner has really been pushed this year. This is the 85th game in which he has played. So Justin checks in as he waits for Uribe to get better. Uribe is still away from playing. They say Ryu will not be gone very long. They expect him to come back. They call Uribe Poppy, and Mattingly said he's still a ways away. Turner holds up on a pitch, check swing for a strike, and they count 0-1. Hanley Ramirez, they think he'll be ready on Sunday, barring a setback. So very soon, Mattingly said we're going to get back to full strength. 0-1 the count to Turner. Tyson Ross, very deliberate, throws to first. Crawford, of course, you had best keep an eye on him. He has stolen 19 out of 22. And as we told you, the league has been running and running wild against Tyson Ross. The figures, the league has stolen 27 out of 33. Crawford off the bag. Turner takes a little high. And a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Ross hits 95 on the gun. Basically, we talked about his slider. That's his great pitch. But he also has fastball, cutter, and a change. So Tyson Ross, 27-year-old right-hander. And the 1-1 pitch on the way. That's in there nicely. 1-2 the count. So there's no doubt about it. Ross is going to be a solid fixture in San Diego's plans. And well, he should be 11-11 and so much better than that. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ross ready. Here he comes. Fastball foul back. That fastball hurried up there at 96. So Justin Turner fouling him off. 1 for 3 yesterday. Justin has a little 4-game hitting streak. But since the All-Star break, although he's not getting headlines, Justin Turner is hitting .328. Crawford off the bag at first with 1 out. Tyson Ross watching. There goes Crawford. The pitch low and away. The throw on the money and got him. So a good throw by Rene Rivera. And Crawford is nailed only the 4th time this year. The Dodgers now wondering about whether they are going to appeal the call. Tim Wallach on the phone. You can take a look and decide if you're watching on TV. Good throw, a little high. The tag came down, and we'll see now whether the Dodgers will argue about it or not. No one moving out of the Dodger dugout, though obviously the call will stay. And no pitch. Justin Turner, I think, had asked for time. He was backing away from the plate. Bud Black and Turner trying to figure out what the count is. Dave Roberts is laughing. So they're looking up at the scoreboard, and it looks like the count is 2-2. All right, Turner back up. 2 down, 2nd inning, no score. Tyson Ross ready. Over the top, whips a fastball in the dirt, and that'll run it all the way. Tyson Ross grew up playing in the Little League at 66th Street in Oakland. So as a kid, he wore 66 right up until he got to the pros. 3-2 pitch. Swung on and pulled fair inside third and down the line despite the diving effort by Solarte, and Turner is safely aboard at first. I think Turner might have second guessed the call at the plate, thinking that the ball might go foul but it stayed fair by the diving Solarte. If you're on TV, you'll see it just cuts the corner, and the dive by Solarte, he came up empty. It was a curveball, and Turner gets himself a 2-out single. For Turner, running hard to first, suddenly realizes that ball went down the line, and he should have had a double had he been watching the play to its completion. So Tyson Ross now working on A.J. Ellis, and the first pitch fouled away, and the count 0-1. That dive by Solarte no doubt fooled Turner, thinking that the San Diego third baseman made the play. All he did was scoop up some Dodger real estate and run it down his pants. So Solarte fussing. It's usually the belt buckle that acts like a shovel. Here's the strike one pitch to A.J. Ellis. Swung on a one-hopper backhanded by Amarista. A long throw right on the money. Boy, he is an exciting player, Alexei Amarista. Meanwhile, Tyson Ross wants to talk to the plate umpire, Adrian Johnson, I think over the mix-up on the count. Anyway, Amarista from the grass in left field throws an arrow to nail Ellis easily. At the end of 2, no score. In the ball game, should be a tough ball game. Clayton Kershaw and Tyson Ross. One thing for the Dodgers, they're trying to avoid trouble early. You know, last night the Padres scored 3 in the second inning. The game before, the Padres scored 3 in the first inning. The game before that with the Brewers scored 2 in the first, 3 in the second. So the Dodgers have found themselves behind before the chairs have really gotten warm. Cameron Maybin had apparently taken some amphetamines. He had a 25-game suspension. Attention problems. So Maybin now comes back, means a lot defensively, hitting .247. Right-hand batter hesitates, takes a strike, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Cameron Maybin out of North Carolina. Pretty famous athlete back in those parts of the country. Swings, doesn't get the next one. Maybin, in taking the amphetamines, that's a violation of Major League Baseball's Joint Drug Prevention and Treatment Center. He has attention deficit disorder, and he swings and strikes out. Earlier, he previously had what they call a therapeutic use exemption granted. But anyway, it's behind him. We wish him well. And we have 1 out here in the 3rd inning. Alexei Amarista, the shortstop, who stands out every time you see him. He's 3 for 7 with an RBI, a couple of doubles, sparkling at shortstop. Has stolen third 6 times this year, and for the year, Amarista has stolen 11 out of 12. I mean, he just does everything. The 1-0 pitch on the way, swung on and fouled back, and the count 1-1. Amarista listed at 5'7", about 150 pounds. He's only 25 years old, from Barcelona, Venezuela. Signed by the Angels back in 2007. 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball inside corner for a strike. 1-2 the count. Alexei, because of his size, kind of gave up playing baseball when he was 16. The 1-2 pitch, same spot but a little more inside, and the count 2-2. I mean, he was so discouraged. All he heard about was, "You're too short, you're too short." Huh. He's a big man. 2-2 pitch on the way, swings and rolls it up along first, foul. 2-2. Alexei is only 25. He's had 4 RBI games at least 3 times in his career. Amarista batting .235. He has 3 home runs, 23 runs batted in. Interesting, he is the only left-hand batter in the Padres lineup, albeit Solarte and Almonte are switch hitters. 2-2 pitch on the way, swung on and foul back. So Alexei Amarista batting 8th in the lineup, 1 out. And it's interesting, Kershaw is looking out at a hitter 5'7", bent at the knees and waist, and then the next hitter is 6'6". Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way. Amarista swings, ground ball to short. Rojas up with it and throws him out. 2 down, top of the 3rd, and here comes Tyson Ross. Tyson Ross, as a batter, hitting .170. He has 8 hits, all singles. He has 3 runs batted in. Strikes out a third of the time, so that means he's a problem. Any pitcher who strikes out less than half the time is a danger. Ross waiting. Right-hand batter looks at a pitch for a strike, and the count 0-1. Ross has made 23 pitches in his 2 innings. Kershaw had made 25. Tyson runs up as if to bunt, takes low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Tyson Ross, as we said, went to Cal up at Berkeley. The 1-1 pitch, swung on and fouled back. It figured he would be a college boy. His father is a pediatrician, and his mother, Jean, is a nurse. And the one thing they wanted is to make sure their son went to college. He certainly picked a good school. Kershaw's 1-2 pitch coming up. Big, slow curve. He hadn't gotten that pitch over for a strike yet, and that's a pet pitch of his. It really complements the fastball and the slider. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Clayton ready. Left-hander deals. Fastball fouled away. Well, for Tyson Ross, he had a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and he got a little bit of it. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, top of the 3rd. No score in the ball game. Clayton ready, Ross waiting. 2-2 pitch on the way. Tyson swings, fouls that away, and again he's fouling off 94-mile-an-hour fastballs. Tyson at 6'6", trimmed down 230. All right, here comes Kershaw again, and this time swung on and missed. They took a little off, and that'll do it for Ross. That would be the 3rd strikeout for Kershaw. And at the end of 2.5 innings, Padres nothing, Dodgers nothing, and hello there, Angel. talking about David Price today losing a one-hitter pitching against Tampa Bay. Well, David Price joined Bob Feller as the only pitchers to throw a complete game one-hitter, with the hit being a triple, and lose in 100 years. Feller also lost 1-0 as the Indians were one hit by Bob Kane of the St. Louis Browns. Feller, on that day in 1952, the Indians were also one hit. By the way, Bob Kane of the St. Louis Browns, who beat Bob Feller, Kane wound up with Detroit, and he was the pitcher who was called in to pitch to Eddie Goodell, the 3'7" midget that Bill Veeck trotted out in that wild game. Anyway, in the third, no score, with Miguel Rojas to start it off against Tyson Ross. Big right-handed fastball fouled away, and the count 0-1. So the Dodgers don't lose anything at shortstop defensively, whether it's Arabena or Rojas. Last night they finished up the game with Arabena playing short and Rojas finishing at third. Strike one pitch on the way. Rojas punches it on the ground to Jerko, the second baseman, and just like that, one away. Last time that Clayton Kershaw faced San Diego, he won 2-1, struck out 11, walked only 1, and I mean it was a dogfight right to the very end. And it looks like it's going to be one of those tonight, Kershaw and Tyson. Dodgers have won 8 of 12 from San Diego. Last year they won 11 of 18. Clayton takes a strike and the count 0-1. Remember, the Dodgers will be in San Diego next weekend, and then they'll see San Diego here in September. And of course, the Dodgers are far better on the road than they are at home. They're break even at home. The Padres are far better at home. So the Dodgers have to go there for 3 next weekend on that brief trip to Arizona and then San Diego. Kershaw takes in the dirt. Big breaking ball, and a 1-ball 2-strike count. Kershaw hitting 174. He has 8 hits. Strikes out about a third of the time, like Tyson Ross. And the 1-2 pitch, a chopper to third, low hop. Going down to get it is Solarte, and he makes the play. So 2 down in the third inning. Nice play by the young third baseman. Ball did not come up from him. That's tough. So D. Gordon will be coming up. 2 out in the third. The Dodgers have a base hit by Justin Turner. Padres do not have a hit. They've had 1 walk to Rene Rivera. Kershaw has struck out 3. Tyson Ross has struck out 1. Last year the Dodgers struggled with the Padres, wound up winning 11 of the 18. 5 of 9 here. Meanwhile, Gordon takes a strike, bluffing a bunt. He didn't square the bunt. All he did was let the bat slide through his fingertips, and Solarte was on the move. Strike 1 pitch, low and inside. New ball put in play. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count. Dodgers trying to shake themselves. They've lost 4 of the last 5, having been swept by Milwaukee. 1-1 pitch on the way, and that's outside. Ball 2, 2-1 the count. To repeat, the Giants lost that suspended game because of rain. They lost that 2-1. They're leading, last we checked, 4-3 in the 5th inning. Ground ball up the middle. That'll be a base hit into center field for D. Gordon. So Gordon single with 2 out. Yasiel Puig will be coming up. So a clean base hit. Gordon at first. Now the question, if you're the manager, do you have Puig take a pitch? Do you gamble and have the runner Gordon try to steal? After all, he is 57, and we've seen the combination where Gordon steals and then Puig drives him in. So let's see how they decide to play it. Puig hit it hard, but right at Jed Jerko, the second baseman, in the first inning. Gordon takes his lead. Ross turns, throws over there, and again we repeat, especially with Gordon on base, the National League very successful stealing bases against Tyson Ross. 27 of 33, and then Crawford was caught, so that makes it 27 of 34. Gordon, pretty good lead. Ross set, looks over his left shoulder at him, now comes to the plate, away, ball one. No score, bottom of the third. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers, nothing across for San Diego. Rene Rivera looking to see if they want to call pitch out. 1 ball and no strikes. Ross set. There goes Gordon. The pitch is a strike. The throw, he's down there waiting for him. Whoa! Rene Rivera throwing arrows down there, has nailed Crawford, and now he nails Gordon for good measure. So for the Padre catcher, a great job and perfect throws. The tag by Jerko right on the arm of D. Gordon. So at the end of 3, no score. The all-new Chrysler 200, America's import. And by Jack in the Box. Try Jack's Spicy Chicken Club combo at Jack in the Box with fries and a drink while it lasts. Sunset time, but we're a long way from sunset on the playing field. We're going to the 4th inning, no score. 2 hits in the game, the Dodgers have it. And Clayton Kershaw now has struck out 3. He's allowed a walk. And into the 4th inning he goes with the top of the lineup. That would be Solarte, Almonte, and Jerko. Solarte, the third baseman, hitting .271. And Hervis Solarte, right-hand batter. Right, 0-1. Solarte came from the New York Yankees in the deal that sent Chase Headley to New York. Breaking ball in there. 0-2. For Solarte and the other newcomers to the league, an exciting challenge against Kershaw. That big overhand breaking ball, he has not been able to throw it for a strike yet, and the count 1-2. But when he does throw it for a strike and the hitter is mesmerized, that always gives the crowd a big kick. Fastball. Nice big hop for Rojas. 1 away. Oh, you don't have to be a mastermind to read the crowd. Because Kershaw's at that stage, like Koufax. Every time he goes to the mound, people come not just to see him pitch, but wonder whether he'll pitch a no-hitter. Well, so far he's into the fourth with one out. Got him. Got him. Almonte popped up in the first inning. Hard ground ball, but right at Gordon. Two out in the fourth inning, and Jed Jerko, the second baseman, coming up. He struck out in the first inning. Boy, it is a gorgeous evening. 75 degrees. A zephyr, not much more than that, stirring the flags in center field. One thing we've noticed sitting here, it got darker a little earlier. A sure sign that autumn is just around the corner. Fastball popped in the air, foul ball. Gonzalez, and that's that. So that took no time at all. A 1-2-3 inning in the fourth. At 7 in a row retired by Kershaw. Only 6 pitches to do the job, and at the end of 3 1/2, no score. Bottom of the fourth inning, no score. Be sure to watch the premiere of Larry King at Bat with Eric Karros. Join us for a sit down with legendary player Eric Karros. He'll talk about how he felt when he was drafted by the Dodgers. So don't miss this new episode of Larry King at Bat with Eric Karros, Sunday at 5 right here on Sportsnet LA. Yasiel Puig, Adrian Gonzalez, and Matt Kemp in that order against big Tyson Ross. Yasiel Puig hit the ball hard on one hopper right at Jed Jerko. Dodgers so far have not hit the ball in the air. The Tyson Ross has the Dodgers killing a lot of worms as we go to the fourth. Slider hit wide of third to Solarte. So Puig, a ground ball and one away. Boy, that slider was really obvious up here. So one away. The outs are coming quickly. Kershaw made only 6 pitches to retire the side in the top of the fourth. So Clayton Kershaw has made 49 pitches in 4 innings. He's had to pitch out of the stretch only once. That's when he walked Rivera, and he got Liriano to hit into a double play. 1 ball and no strikes to Adrian Gonzalez. You know, talking about the Giants as we were earlier, they're leading 4-3 in Chicago in the 6th inning. They suffered 2 pretty serious injuries, and they're not sure when the 2 men will be coming back. Here's the 1-0 pitch in the dirt. We're talking about Brandon Belt, the first baseman, who suffered a concussion, and Boschi's saying now he's had to take Belt out of the lineup. More problem. It might be 3 weeks until Bell comes back. And although that's a little bit of a surprise, Hector Sanchez, we saw Hector staggered with a foul ball in the mask. He's a concussion victim. Meanwhile, Gonzalez fly ball, and we have 2 down. And they're talking about Sanchez perhaps being out 3 weeks. So from here on in, they're all playing hurt. Every one of them has some little zing, if nothing else. And it's really the battle of the survivor now. The Dodgers are playing their 63rd game. So that leaves 18 more games at home. And they have 15 on the road. Clayton Kershaw leading the Dodgers. No score in the 4th. And first ball, Matt Kemp skies one to right field. Liriano is there. Well, that didn't take any time. That's can you top this? Kershaw made 6 pitches in the top of the 4th. Tyson Ross made 5 pitches in the bottom of the 4th. And we have no score. Matching up the starters, 2 fellas who are really on their game. 49 pitches for Clayton, 41 for Ross. And just look at the numbers, they'll tell you right away. 1 walk apiece. Last inning had to be the quickest inning we've seen all year. So Kershaw made 6 pitches to retire the side in the top of the 4th. Tyson Ross came back and made 5 pitches to retire the Dodgers. So in the 5th inning, Medica, Rivera, and Liriano in that order. Medica flied to left field in the 2nd inning. No score, 5th inning. When you looked at the records of these 2 pitchers going in, and we mentioned at the start, don't be fooled by that 11-11 record with Tyson Ross. He's a terrific pitcher. 1 ball and no strikes to Tommy Medica. Medica hitting over 300 for a little more than 3 weeks. 1-1. Medica, as a pinch hitter last night, flied to center. Jake Colbert, left-hand batter, has been playing first base. Medica also appeared as a hitter for Gobert in the first game and flied to right. 1-2 to Tommy. Medica went to Santa Clara. He's from San Jose. Went to Bellarmine High School in San Jose. Signed by the Padres back in 2010. And he came up last year. That'll do it. So the pitch picks up the corner and is strikeout number 4 for Kershaw. Take another look. Right on the edge. Johnson rings him up. Rivera has walked. He's the only Padre to get on base. Rene has already stood out in the game, making a couple of great throws to second base to nail Crawford in the second inning and Gordon in the third. 0-1 on the slider. Rene Rivera, the happy father of twins. They were born just around opening day. Twin girls. Big slow curve. There it is. He finally got that pitch in for a strike. 0-2 to Rene. Rivera from Puerto Rico was originally signed by the Seattle Mariners. Fastball a little low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Rene built like a catcher. He's 5'10", 230. 31 years old. Played for the Mariners, the Twins, and now the Padres. And down he goes. That's 5 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. So if you go back, Rivera walked, and he's gotten everybody since. Big curveball to nail him. So 9 in a row retired, and the batter is Limer Liriano, grounded into a double play in the second inning. Reimer with a home run, 4 runs batted in. Called up from El Paso this year. And ball 1. Liriano is only 23. 2 balls and no strikes. Reimer, a rare outfielder who had Tommy John surgery. Ground ball, Rojas. All right. Kershaw is doing what they came to see. He's retired 10 in a row. He is not allowed to hit. And at the end of 4.5 innings, no score. Honored guest here tonight. I assume that bundle of joy with the headband is a happy little girl in Dad's arms. Oh my goodness, already a Dodger fan. Well, don't forget, tomorrow start your weekend with a bang. After the game with the Mets at 7:10, you can enjoy a Friday night fireworks show presented by Denny's. For tickets and more information, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Every time I see an infant, I marvel at another miracle. Carl Crawford, Justin Turner, A.J. Ellis in the fifth. No score. This one's living up to what it projected to be. Ball one. Kershaw in 5 innings has made 60 pitches. And ball two. 43 pitches made by Tyson Ross. You know what they call a quality start? 3 runs or less, 6 innings. Tyson Ross has had 19 quality starts. Boy, that was a good slider in on the hands. 2-1. He's a very fine pitcher. You overlook him if you just look at numbers. 2-1. Low fastballs. At 6'6", he is pitching downhill, standing up on a 10-inch mound. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Foul ball. Tyson Ross, whose parents had a baseball card made of him when he was 4 years old. He was wearing an Oakland A's jersey with a big A on the cap. Well, he was actually drafted by the A's in 2008. That will do it. After those low fastballs, Ross came up with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball to take care of Crawford.
Third baseman number 10.
Take a look at the location up there. After keeping it down around the knees, Crawford looked like he tried to uppercut it, and he came up empty. 2 strikeouts for Tyson Ross, 5 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw, and the batter is Justin Turner, who singled over third in the 2nd inning. Thought maybe the ball was caught by Solarte, so instead of a double, he wound up with a single. This time, first ball hitting, and we have 2 down.
Dodger catcher number 17, A.J. Ellis.
By the way, the unsung hero certainly is the catcher for the Padres, Rene Rivera. You know, he's thrown out 2 Dodgers tonight, Crawford and Gordon. So he has caught 22 base stealers. That's more than Russell Martin and Jonathan LaCroix. So Rene setting the target now for Ross, and the strike. 0-1 the count. Ellis grounded to short in the 2nd inning. There's that fastball at the knees that gave Crawford a bad time, and it comes up there at 95. And then, as you saw with Crawford, he then came up with a fastball to put him away. That was a cutter, I think. It was a fastball with a lot of oomph on it. It was 96, so maybe it was just live. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Down and dirty. We told you Tyson went to the University of California. He majored in American Studies. His mom, not only a nurse, but a longtime nurse in an emergency room at Children's Hospital up in Oakland. And no matter what, his mom, Jean, tailored her schedule around watching her children. That included Tyson, his sister, and his brother. His brother Joe, a pitching prospect in the Padres system. So his mom really had to work strange hours to keep her job and still watch the kids play. That's in there. Beautiful pitch. So down goes Ellis. 3 strikeouts for Tyson Ross. And at the end of 5, no score. And in 1999, it was unusual to see the Dodger pitchers. You had Eric Gagne from Canada. You had Jeff Williams, who was from Australia. You had Ismael Valdez, who was from Mexico. And for good measure, Chan Ho Park from South Korea. Quite a series, but quite a menu for the Dodgers. They started bringing players in from all over the world, and it has continued, thank goodness, for the betterment of the game. And with that, let's go back to this one. Clayton Kershaw versus Tyson Ross. Ross has allowed 2 singles to Turner and Gordon. Kershaw has not allowed a hit. He has allowed a walk, the only base runner, Rivera, who was then doubled up by Liriano. So here's Cameron Maybin. And hits the fastball to center. Puig is right there. 1 away, 1 pitch.
Shortstop number 5, Alexei Amarista.
Now the batter is Alexei Amarista. Grounded to short. Sixth inning, no score, no runs, no hits for the Padres. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. And a strike. They're in the 7th inning at Wrigley Field. The Giants leading the Cubs 5-3. Fastball. So Amarista now in a hole. No balls and 2 strikes. Alexei's first at bat in the 3rd inning. He made Kershaw work a bit. It was a 7-pitch at bat before he finally grounded to short. No balls, 2 strikes. Overthrowing at 93. 1-2 the count. Waiting on deck, Tyson Ross. And down goes Amarista. That is 6 strikeouts for Kershaw. So he's unraveling a string here. The only man to get aboard, Rivera, walked in the 2nd inning. So since then, 12 in a row. And Tyson Ross. Tyson Ross is no walk in the park. Amarista made Kershaw make 7 pitches first at bat, and so did Tyson Ross. Bad swing that time, 0-1. Ross hit a couple of 94-mile-an-hour fastballs foul, but they were up a little bit. 0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1. And there it is. And don't you know, Tyson Ross, who kept fouling off those 94-mile-an-hour fastballs, bangs one clean as a whistle and gets some cheering from his teammates. A round of applause for Clayton Kershaw. Another valiant effort. I mean, he has reached that stage of magnificence. I mean, you go into the 6th inning and you give up a hit. Big deal. And clean as a whistle. So that's over with. Now we concentrate on Solarte. No score, 6th inning. Foul back, 0-1. If you were thinking about Kershaw pitching his 2nd no-hitter this year, we might refresh your memory on those who have done that. One of the more famous involving the Dodgers, of course, Johnny Vandermeer, who pitched his 2nd against Brooklyn. First night game at Ebbets Field. What a way to break in the ballpark. That's a strike, 0-2. Then you had Allie Reynolds, Virgil Trucks. Trucks, interestingly enough, had 2 no-hitters, and that year his record was 5-19. Then you had Nolan Ryan, Roy Halladay, although one of Roy's came in the postseason. Throw to first, and Tyson just got back like a hook and ladder. He just did get back on the bag. That long stretch and smart move. I mean, you see, he was reaching for the bag with his left hand because that was at least 6 inches to a foot away from the other hand, and that was the closer hand to Gonzalez. So that was a smart diving back by Tyson Ross. 0-2. Slow curveball at 74. He's had one called strike, and now that one fouled off. Clayton, 11 pitches thus far in the inning. He's had 3 innings of 11 pitches. He had 1 of 6. He had also had 1 of 14. 0-2. Fastball got him. 7 strikeouts for Kershaw. Remember earlier in the year when he beat the Padres 2-1, he struck out 11. No runs, a hit. And at the end of 5.5 innings, no score. LA is brought to you by Subway. Try this month's $6 featured footlong, the barbecued oven roasted chicken melt. Subway, eat fresh. And by your Southern California Mazda dealers. Boy, we have a dandy going here tonight. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning at Dodger Stadium, not far away from the Chandler world, another world of beauty and joy, intelligence. Anyway, back to the ball game. It'll be Rojas, Kershaw, and Gordon. No score. The Dodgers, no runs, 2 hits. Tyson has the only hit for San Diego. And here we go with Rojas, who grounded out in the 3rd inning. Running up on that sinking pitch and coming up empty. 0-1. Oh, and 2. Miguel hitting .205. He has 1 home run. 8 runs batted in. And a big bouncer and a big man to make the play. At 6'6" and on the 10-inch mound, he was able to reach up and bring it back. So Rojas losing a base hit only because of the size of the pitcher, and we have one out. Ross has also got a little string going. He retired 7. He did give up a base hit, but Gordon was thrown out stealing. And now here's Clayton Kershaw, grounded to third in the 3rd inning. Ground ball to Jerko. Boy, one thing, they are not hanging around tonight at all. So that's 8 in a row retired. D. Gordon struck out, singled, thrown out trying to steal. When he was nailed, it was the 15th time he'd been thrown out. Rene Rivera nailed him on a great throw, just as he got Crawford back in the 2nd inning. Rene Rivera, 22 caught stealing. Big man in the league. Crawford will certainly attest to that. So Gordon is 1 for 2. And did that get him on the foot? Nope. He just did do a little tap dance. 1 ball and no strikes. Adrian Johnson, the plate umpire, got a little bit of that on the foot. 1 ball and no strikes to D. Gordon. No score, bottom of the 6th. And that's in there. Medica and Solarte shorten up. Gordon always a threat to bunt. 1-1. 1-2. As you can imagine watching him pitch, you look at his record 11-11. He has lost 6 tough games where he went at least 6 innings and gave up less than 3 runs. And he strikes out Gordon a 2nd time. That's his 4th strikeout. He's retired 9 in a row, and at the end of 6, no score. Great game they were having tonight. Well, the New York Mets will be here starting Friday night, tomorrow evening, then Saturday night at 6:10, and wrap up the homestand Sunday afternoon at 1:10. On Monday, the Dodgers will fly over to Arizona and play 2 games with the Diamondbacks. Then they'll fly to San Diego, have a day off, and play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday again with the Padres. And when they come home, they will go head-to-head with the hottest team in baseball, the Washington Nationals, who have won 10 straight. and they'll be here at Dodger Stadium September 1, 2, and 3. Well, look at here, the Dancing Sisters, great hairdos, set for the dance. Every move sheer poetry. Almonte, Jerko, and Medica in that order in the 7th inning. A bunt attempt fouled away, 0-1. Tyson Ross made 9 pitches to retire the Dodgers in the 6th inning. So he's had 2 innings of 9 pitches, and he's had 1 inning of 5 pitches. The most pitches in an inning, 14. Clayton Kershaw had a 6-pitch inning and 2 11-pitch innings. Line drive that went by Turner like an echo. Oh, that thing was drilled. So Almonte, who had popped up and grounded out, slashes a line drive to left, and the batter Jed Jerko. Boy, that thing was stung. Almonte had 1 hit last night, and he had 4 hits in the first game. Yeah, you shake your head if you're playing third. That thing went by, hard to believe. Jerko struck out, fouled out. Kershaw has 7 strikeouts and 1 walk. He's now allowed 2 hits. 1 ball, no strikes. They're in the 8th inning. Giants leading the Cubs 5-3. Almonte does not have a stolen base. He's 0 for 1. One ball and 1 strike. Crowd reacting. Obviously a nice catch. There's the fellow who did it. One and 1 to Jed out of Morgantown, West Virginia. As a freshman, he was a 2nd-team All-American in baseball. Got a letter playing football. And ball 2, 2-1. Waiting on deck, Tommy Medica. Two balls and 1 strike. Jerko's a tough guy. When he was at college at West Virginia, he played a game. He dived at a ground ball, landed on his shoulder, and could barely lift his arm. So his coach tried to get him out of the game. He wouldn't come out. And the next inning, he came up double to right. He's just that kind of a player. 3-1. And ball 4. So for the first time, Kershaw huffing and puffing now, and a challenge. First and second, nobody out. Medica, Rivera, and Liriano coming up. So Medica, the pride of Santa Clara. Tommy, 26 years old, 14th round pick only 4 years ago, so he's arrived on the scene in a hurry. We were talking about Jerko hurting his arm. Medica seriously injured his arm, dislocating his shoulder, tearing the labrum. He was an outfielder and a very good catcher, but wrecked his arm, so now he's a first baseman. And a strike, 0-1. Medica, 6'1", 190. One of those rare players. Made his major league debut last year and homered in his at bat. Oh, and 2 Kershaw taking a lot of that. You wouldn't know it, I guess, if you're the hitter, and Medical was way out in front of it. 0-2. At second base, Almonte. At first, Jerko. Nobody out. First threat, either side. And little foul ball, still 0-2. Kershaw working on a new ball. Medical waiting before getting back in. No balls, 2 strikes. And a high fly ball to center, tagging up both runners. The catch by Puig. They both take off, and now hesitating and going back to first is Jerko, but Almonte goes to third. So Medica advances a runner with a long fly ball to center. So first and third, 1 out. Rene Rivera, the catcher, coming up. Puig made a good strong throw that kept Jerko at first, but I'm sure in Yasiel's mind, I should have thrown Almonte out at third, but that would have been virtually impossible from where he was. Adrian Gonzalez now wants to talk to Kershaw with Rivera at the plate. Rivera walked and struck out. Catcher came into the game hitting .238. He has 8 home runs, 29 runs batted in. Oh, and 1, the fastball at 94. Kershaw now has made 12 pitches in the inning, 84 in the game. 7th inning, no score, and the Padres are threatening. Oh, and 1. The highest number of pitches for Clayton Kershaw in one game this year, 115. Against whom, you ask? San Diego. Oh, and 1 to Rene Rivera. And that's a strike. So Rivera in a hole, 0-2. In case you're wondering about it, Rivera, the catcher, has grounded into only 4 double plays. Hitting behind him, Reimer Liriano. Fastball just off the plate at 94. 1-2 to count. Right there, but obviously AJ tried to frame it, move it across to the corner, but Johnson wouldn't bite. 1-2. Almonte down the line from third. Jerko at first, 1 out. In the dirt. And down to second base goes Jerko, no play. I was just going to look it up. Kershaw has 5 wild pitches, so that should be number 6. So second and third with 1 out. In the dirt, chest blocked by AJ. Couldn't find it for the moment. So second and third, 1 out. And a 2-2 count to Rene Rivera. Infield in with 1 out. And line drive, base hit to left. Crawford up with it. 1 run will score. Jerko will stop at third, and it's the Padres out in front, 1-0. So Rivera line drive single to left, and a run batted in. So the long fly ball by Medica that got Almonte to third is paid off on Rivera's base hit. So 1 run, 2 hits. There are runners at first and third, still 1 out, and the batter is Reimer Liriano. So happily in the dugout with the run, Abraham Almonte, and at the plate looking for another, Reimer Liriano. First and third, 1 out. And a fastball up and in, 1 ball and no strikes. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 7th, they will have Puig, Gonzalez, and Kemp. One and 0. Kershaw has 7 strikeouts. He has walked 2, and the second walk to Jerko, plus the wild pitch and the long fly ball have put him in trouble. Breeze has picked up a little bit, blowing left to right. 1-1. Fastball, another strike. 1-2 to Liriano. Cameron Maybin, the center fielder, on deck. 1-2 this year. The opposition against Kershaw with that count, hitting 115. 2-2. On the 2-2 count, the opposition is hitting 128. Remember Medica's long fly ball that really set up the run. That came on a no ball 2 strike pitch. Rivera was behind 0-2 and got a hit 2-2. And that takes care of Liriano. That's the 8th strikeout for Kershaw. But his inability to put Medica down and Rivera down has hurt him here in the 7th inning. So with 2 out, Kershaw down 1-0, and the batter is Cameron Maybin. Maybin came into the game hitting 111 against Kershaw. He was 2 for 18, so he's now 2 for 20. Struck out, fly to center. 1-0 Padres, 2 out, 7th inning. Tried to bunt, but no swing. Tough pitch to bunt anyway. It was up around his eyes. 1 ball and no strikes. In the inning, Almonte singled. Jerko walked to put runners at first and second. The key, Medica, with a no ball 2 strike count, hit that long fly ball to center. That got Almonte to third. Then Rivera singled him in. There was also a wild pitch in there. That's a strike, 1-1. The wild pitch has accounted for the presence of Jed Jerko at third, and Rivera, they got the key base hit at first. One and one the count. Both coaches whispering to the base runners. Big bouncer to third. Turner makes the play. However, the Padres scratch away and get a run. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 left, and we're heading to the bottom of the 7th. 1-0 San Diego. Bottom of the 7th inning. The Padres have their hands full with Kershaw, but they have a run, and the Dodgers have their hands full certainly with Tyson Ross, and they've been blank. You can compare them, and you can see that Kershaw finally had to work a hard inning. That was the 7th, when he made 24 pitches to jump his count up to 96. However, Tyson Ross, breezing along nicely, has made only 63 pitches in 6 innings. It was Ross who broke the momentum in the 6th inning, getting the first hit against Kershaw, and then, of course, the key to the 7th, the no-ball, 2-strike, long fly ball by Tommy Medica that allowed Almonte to get to 3rd and score on Rivera's base hit. So the Dodgers, who have lost 4 of the last 5, find themselves down 1-0, bottom of the 7th, and here is Yasiel Puig. Ball 1. Puig has gone a long time, a good month, since he last hit a home run. Nevertheless, he's still hitting a solid .310. 2-0. Puig with 13 home runs, 11 against right-hand pitching. Came into the game hitting .324 against right-handers. Two and 0 to Yasiel. Two and 1. Tyson Ross, with a record of 11-11, has also given up 11 home runs. And 2-2 the count. Dodgers knew they were going to face a tough customer, despite the fact he had lost 11 games. Tyson Ross came into the game with an earned run average of 2.7. He should be winning a lot. Did he? Yes. So Bill Miller rings him up on the check swing. 5 strikeouts for Tyson Ross, and 1 out in the 7th inning. Well, Yasiel couldn't keep that bat back and pays the price. Meanwhile, in Wrigley Field, Chicago, the Giants leading the Cubs 5-3, top of the 9th. Adrian Gonzalez grounded out, flied out. Dodgers have 2 hits. They have not had a man to second base. Kemp walked and he was forced. Crawford, who forced him, was thrown out trying to steal. Gordon singled. He was thrown out trying to steal. 0-2. The only thing that Tyson Ross really does wrong would be the wild pitch. He has made 11. Isn't that something? He has hung on 11. And a fly ball into right center. Coming in a hurry is Liriano, and backhands the ball. Reimer Liriano making a nice play, taking an extra base hit away from Gonzalez.
Right fielder, number 27.
Maben over to congratulate him. 2 down. Big play in a 1-0 game. Got it right up near the fingertips and closed the trap. 2 out, 7th inning, and Matt Kemp coming up. Matt walked, forced at second, and last time up flied to right. So you can see, outside of a 13-pitch inning and a 15-pitch inning, he's been breezing. Right, 0-1. Ross coming into the game, 60 walks and 162 strikeouts. Now has 167 strikeouts. 1 run, 3 hits for the Padres, no runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers in the 7th. Interesting, too. You remember earlier, if you were with us, we were talking about the fact there have been 48 1-0 games this year. That's as many as they had all year last year. Going after that low fastball. Down go the Dodgers. So 3, 6, 9, 12 in a row. And at the end of 7, 1-0 San Diego. Nothing lead stand up against Clayton Kershaw. For Kershaw, remember, he lost a very tough game 3-2 last time out against Milwaukee. So that brings up the note that we started the evening with. Clayton has had 49 straight starts without losing 2 straight. That's the longest active streak in the major leagues. Well, that's in danger now with the Dodgers down 1-0 after he lost 3-2. Alexi Amarista, then it'll be Tyson Ross, and then Solarte. And the Dodgers will have Crawford, Turner, and Ellis in the bottom of the inning. 1-0, top of the 8th. And a strike. 97 pitches made by Clayton. Ross has made only 75 through 7 innings. 0-2. Ross has 6 strikeouts. He's walked 1. Clayton has 8 strikeouts. He's walked 2. And Brandon League is up in the Dodger bullpen. Ross waiting on deck. Amarista acting like he fouled it, but down he goes. So Amarista strikes out a second time. 9 strikeouts for Kershaw. And here's Tyson Ross. The tip-off on Ross as a batter, I guess, was in the 3rd inning. He kept fouling off 94-mile-an-hour fastballs. Oh, yes, he struck out in 7 pitches. But then the next time he came up, he singled clean into left center field. Right. For Tyson Ross, it was his 9th hit. 0-1. There's that slow curve. He had trouble with that early in the game, throwing it for strikes. And he's now gone over 100 pitches. Remember, he went 115 against San Diego. Another slow curve to wrap him up. 10 strikeouts for Kershaw. And the batter now will be Yangervis Solarte. Here's that big curve. Pot of gold at the end of it. So 2 out. He has struck out 3 of the last 4 batters. Solarte 2 ground balls to short and struck out. Ground ball. Rojas at the other end. Plenty of time to wind up and throw him out. So an easy inning, the 8th inning for Clayton. However, as he walks off for the bottom of the 8th, it's 1-0 on 7 pitches, and the Padres still leading 1-0. Mets at 110, and the first 40,000 fans in attendance will take home a Matt Kemp figurine presented by New Era. For tickets and more information, be sure to visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Well, we have arrived in the bottom of the 8th inning, and it is still 1-0 San Diego. A brilliant effort by Tyson Ross. We mentioned at the start of the game, don't even think about the 11-11 record. Don't think of the fact he is 0-3 this year against the Dodgers. Don't think he is 0-4 lifetime against the Dodgers, because his ERA against them, despite 0-3 this year, 2.8. And here he is having them shut down into the 8th. It'll be Crawford, Turner, and Ellis in that order. For Tyson Ross, he walked Kemp. He's had only 1 3-ball count all night, and the Dodgers have managed only 3 fly balls. Ross has struck out 6. 2 fly balls back to back. Gonzalez flied to left, Kemp flied to right in the 4th inning. And Gonzalez on a fly ball, and the big play by Liriano. Ross fighting that play, and he loses. So Tyson Ross, who has flagged a couple, could not handle that one. You remember how he got Rojas jumping high in the air. We will see now. Bud Black is out there talking to Bill Miller. Dave Roberts on the phone. See if it's worth so-so. Dave Roberts giving him a so-so. I don't think they are going to pursue it. Nope. So Black will go back to the dugout. Crawford safely aboard on a bang-bang play at first. For the Dodgers, only their 3rd hit, but it might be a big one. And Justin Turner 1 for 2, and he'll be coming up. The Black, and the advice of Dave Roberts, did not pursue it. He's had 2 reviews on tough plays at 3rd, and Bud's lost each review. Turner single left, grounded out. Crawford, of course, a threat to run. That's ball 1. However, he was burned. Crawford thrown out in the 2nd inning. Rene Rivera has caught Gordon and Crawford tonight. The Crawford standing over there has stolen 19 out of 23. 1 ball and no strikes. A.J. Ellis on deck. If the Dodgers get something going and get down to Kershaw, just in case, they have Jamie Wright and Kenley Jansen, and I think the score will dictate who will be coming in. Andre Ethier, helmet on, bat in hand, so he'll be batting soon, probably for Rojas. And a high drive into deep left field. Back goes Almonte, gone. Turner hits a 2-run home run, and the Dodgers lead 2-1. Would be the 12th home run allowed by Tyson Ross. The Dodgers turn it around to lead 2-1 for Justin Turner, his 4th home run and 29 runs batted in. 0-1 to A.J. Ellis. So the redhead comes up with a big hit, tying a career high, his 4th. What a job he has done all year. Remarkable. 0-1. 2 of the big stories on the pitch that gets away would be D. Gordon becoming an all-star and Turner's play wherever they have used him, at second, short, and third. Look at Kershaw, faced with his 4th loss, now has a shot at winning his 15th. Tyson Ross in danger of going 11-12. 2-1 for Bud Black. That bang bang play at first base, and then followed by the home run. Dodgers trying to win 2 out of 3, snap a bad streak where they've lost 4 out of 5. Padres in danger of going 4-9 against the Dodgers. Well, let's look ahead. Bud Black has Almonte, Jerko, and Medica due up in the 9th inning. So Tyson Ross, after the bang bang play, then the home run, and now falls behind, only his 2nd 3-ball count all night. And ball 4. That is his 2nd walk. Take another look from a different angle. Justin Turner. Almonte going to the wall. No chance. Back in a couple of rows. Turner sees it go in and lets out a holler. Lopes is there to glad hand him. And Justin going around on number 4. That tells it a lot, doesn't it? The big grin on his face. Meanwhile, meeting at the mound, Darren Balsley talking to Tyson Ross. In fact, Bud Black went out, not the pitching coach. So Clayton Kershaw, who has not had consecutive losses, we'll see. The Dodgers, who are 0-46 when trailing after 7, and they were trailing after 7. And Crawford got that bang bang play at first, and the big bang from Turner. Rojas grounded out, hit back to the box. Andre Ethier is out on deck, and that means Kenley Jansen will pitch the 9th inning. So Kenley waiting. Pitch out, throw to first. Ellis back on the bag. That was very close, especially with a right-hand batter. Normally, the catcher has a pretty good shot picking somebody off with a left-hand hitter, because the left-hander is kind of like a screen to the runner. But that was awfully close with a slow runner, and Rojas at the plate trying to bunt and fouls it away. 1 ball and 1 strike. And if nothing else, that throw by Rivera was so close, it might take a step or two away from Ellis anyway, and there's a payoff at second base. So Kenley waits. 2-1 Dodgers, bottom of the 8th. Kershaw talking to Dan Haren. The bunt, foul back. 1-2. Dan Haren figures to open up tomorrow night against the New York Mets. And then Zach Greinke on Haren's right. He'll be pitching Saturday. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nobody out, bottom of the 8th. Got the bunt down. Tyson makes his play to first to Jerko. On the sacrifice, Ellis goes to second. And Andre Ethier will be coming up. So Ethier batting for Clayton Kershaw. Andre hitting .243 as a pinch hitter. He is 5 for 18 and 7 runs batted in. A.J. Ellis a little tough to pick up on a base hit. And on deck, the leadoff man, D. Gordon. And ball 1. And ball 2. Ross has made 90 pitches now with 1 out in the 8th. Kershaw 1 out, having made 103. Two balls and no strikes for Andre. Trying to golf a low, might have been a slider. 2-1. In the inning, Crawford hit one off Tyson's glove, beat the throw to first by an eyelash, and then Justin Turner hit the 2-run home run to turn the game around from 1-0 San Diego to 2-1 Dodgers. Interesting too, there were only 3 fly balls hit by the Dodgers until Turner hit the home run. Ethier fouls that away. 2-2 before a crowd. Paid attendance tonight 39,596. 39,596. So 39 will get the Dodgers up to 2,950,000. So they'll go over the 3 million mark, certainly against the Mets. 2-2. Fastball. So Ethier blown away on a low fastball. 2 down in the inning. That is also the 7th strikeout for Tyson Ross.
Second baseman number 9, D. Gordon.
And D. Gordon coming up. Gordon struck out, single, thrown out trying to steal, struck out again. Dave Roberts, Bud Black putting their heads together. They'll have Almonte, Jerko, and Medica unless they go to the bench. for a hitter. Oh, and 1. D has struck out twice and singled. Hung around over 290 for quite a while. Now he has dipped down a little bit, batting .287. Final score, Giants beat the Cubs 5-3. One ball and 1 strike. To repeat, when the Padres come up in the 9th, Abraham Almonte 1 for 3 scored the Padre run. Jerko struck out, fouled out, and walked. And Medica flied to left, struck out, and had that long fly ball to center on a no ball 2 strike count. That was a big play. 1-2. Ellis at second with 2 out. Got him. So it is a rare night for D. Gordon to strike out 3 times, as Matt Kemp putting a smile on Justin Turner's face. That's worth another look. The reason for the smile, it was a breaking ball that went out. And at the end of 8, it is 2-1. The #1 live streaming sports service is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. You can watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. So be sure to visit Dodgers.com for details. 2 runs, 4 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for the Padres. Kenley Jansen trying to come in and pick up a big save. For Jansen, he has 35 saves, zeroing in on number 36. He'll be facing Abraham Almonte, followed by Jed Jerko, Tommy Medica, and the Dodgers leading on the wings of the home run by Justin Turner, a broken-hearted Tyson Ross, all alone with his thoughts. And you know they have to be dark and dreary right about now. For Clayton Kershaw, in 8 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, struck out 10, and was in danger of losing. until Turner's home run. Ross wound up making 97 pitches. So Almonte popped up, grounded out, single to left, and scored the run. And the strike, 0-1. One ball and one strike. Jansen, 14 walks, 81 strikeouts. Almost 6-1, not quite. Dodgers look bunt. Gonzalez on the grass. Turner is up. 1-1. Foul back, 1-2. Abraham Almonte hitting .341 since coming up to join the club from Seattle. Came up at the end of July. That was the deal that sent outfielder Chris DeNorfia to Seattle. One ball, two strikes. Got him. So Almonte caught looking. Down he goes. One precious out in the ninth inning. Strikeout number one for Jansen. 11 Padres have bitten the dust. And the batter now is Jed Jerko. Struck out, fouled out, and walked. Dodgers trying to win 9 of 13 from San Diego. Foul back. In one-run games, the Padres are terrific at home, 16-8. On the road, 7-9. For the Dodgers in one-run decisions, 12-8 at home, 10-9 on the road. 0-1. One ball and one strike. Left-hand hitting Seth Smith, always a home run threat, comes out on deck. Seth leads the club in doubles, in triples, and home runs. 1-1. Two and one. Kenley Jansen against Jerko. Jerko is 0 for 5. Smith is 1 for 5. Crowd groaning. 3-1 the count to Jed Jerko. Tough pitch to take, just low off the corner. Jerko with 9 home runs, so you have to be careful with him especially, and Smith. And ball 4. So Seth Smith, quarterback out of Ole Miss, who must have a lot of patience. For 3 years he was the quarterback behind Eli Manning, and in those 3 years he never had a snap. Will Venable, who runs very well, will take over for Jerko at first base. So Jerko gets a big walk to keep the Padres above water. And now here's Smitty. 297, 12 home runs, 40 runs batted in. He and Mike Trout are the only 2 players to lead their clubs in doubles, triples, and home runs. As we said, Smith against Jansen, 1 for 5. He's also walked once and struck out 3 times. Jansen is not particularly good at holding runners on, and Venable steals a lot of bases, although this year he has only stolen 6 out of 10. But in Jansen's career, the league has stolen 27 out of 31. So this is going to be the battle within the war between Venable and Jansen. Not going, and a strike. 0-1 to Seth Smith. Smithy, over his last 25 games on the road, is hitting over 400. No balls, 1 strike. Oh, 2. Smith with power, as we said, 12 home runs. And actually, his numbers are very well. 54 walks and 68 strikeouts. That's terrific this day and age. In fact, he walks better than 13% of all his trips to the plate. 0-2. And drives one to left field. It's a play for Crawford. He makes the catch, and Venable back. So Smith fly ball to left field, 2 down. Yasmani Grandal will be coming up, and you can understand why. Grandal has had some success, 2 for 6 in the past against Jansen. So the catcher, Yasmani Grandal, batting for Rivera. Now with 2 out, we'll see whether Bud Black would roll the dice on Venable. Certainly the Dodgers thinking he might do it. Venable in and out of the lineup these days, so you don't read much about him stealing a lot of bases. But Venable has stolen as many as 29 in the big leagues. Venable last year stole 22, the year before that 24, the year before that 26. So he can motor. A lot of thinking going on there as Yasmani Grandal waits. Grandal has been very effective against the Dodgers. In his career, he's played 22 games against the Dodgers, and he has hit .304. And a strike, 0-1. That's a ball, Grandal said to Adrian Johnson, but not to the plate umpire. No balls and 1 strike. Turner, the man of the moment. There goes Venable. The pitch is high, the throw a poor one on a bounce, and Venable steals it easily. So the tying run at second base, and 39,000 people are very quiet. All right. 1 ball and 1 strike to Yasmani Grandal. Tying run at second with 2 out in the 9th. 2-1 Dodgers. And a strike. That brings the roar from the crowd. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and the ball game on the line. Tyson Ross has his heart broken. Justin Turner can walk on air. Clayton Kershaw can thank his stars, and the Dodgers win the game 2-1. For the Dodgers, 2 runs, 4 hits, and no errors. The Padres, 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors. They leave the tying run at second base, and the Dodgers win a big one, hang tough ahead of the Giants. Certainly 2 big moments, 2 big stars. First, Clayton Kershaw, 8 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, and 10 strikeouts. But he might have lost, except for the play of the game. Justin Turner's 4th home run of the year, reaching the seats and left to finish Tyson Ross, giving great feelings of joy to Clayton Kershaw, lifting the crowd of 39,000. Otherwise, a very quiet night here at Dodger Stadium. The Mets are here tomorrow night. Hope you'll be out here with us. Talk to you then. Wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, everybody.